Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kryptonite. So let's dive in.
If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel, and if you like the video at the end, click on the thumbs up.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kryptonite, the crypto investor channel. I'm Boris, and today we're going to be looking at CBDCs versus stablecoins. So let's dive in. I'm with Colton. How you doing, Colton?
Good. How you doing today, Boris?
Good.
Yeah.
Go
So
ahead.
I'm gonna start off with asking some questions about the CBDC. So my first question is, what is a CBDC?
All right, so the CBDC is the central bank digital coin. That's what the initial stands for. And that's basically making cryptocurrencies of the current fiat money. So for the US, the Federal Reserve Bank would basically make a CBDC, which would be a digital dollar. For the Europeans, it would be a digital euro. The ones that are the most advanced currently in that process are the Chinese, where they have the digital yuan coming. They want to have it ready and in place for the Olympic Games that are taking place next year. So it's basically making the current money of a country digital, basically being a crypto.
Awesome. Okay. And will these work on their own blockchain?
So developing your own blockchain is a gigantic undertaking, and if countries decided to do it on their own blockchain, I mean, some might do it, but it might not be a great idea. It would be a little bit like saying, like, let me reinvent databases and have my own database and develop it myself. What we're seeing worldwide is more and more adoption of existing blockchains. So some of them are using blockchain like, the UK, for instance, is looking into putting the digital pound, British pound, and they just announced that they are going to be using XRP Ledger. So they're going to be using the XRP blockchain, the XRP Ledger to do that. Some other have said that they would be using potentially Cardano. So they'll be using different blockchains because it's going to be much faster and much easier for them to actually deploy.
Mhm.
So they very few countries, I think, are going to use their own develop their own blockchain. They're all going to use existing ones.
Yep, that makes sense. Okay. And with that being said, what are some benefits and what are some disadvantages, of using CBDC versus fiat money?
Well, I mean, you have a few challenges whenever you're using new technology. So, of course, there might be a few challenges, but I think overall it's going to be mostly advantages. So let's say a country needs some money from, let's say they need help from the IMF, or they need money, special aid from another country. The great thing is that money is going to be arriving there much, much faster than today, because they can digitally transfer the money and it can be in that country in a matter of seconds. So that's going to be one of the big advantage. Another big advantage is the traceability of everything that's going on. Because right now, whenever people send money, sometimes the problem is some countries don't have a very good infrastructure as far as their banking system. So sending money to those banks can be complicated. There could be a lot of problems of money laundering and other, things happening where the bank may actually take some of the money for themselves or things like that. So you avoid a lot of those problems. It becomes much more liquid. Another problem sometimes countries are facing is whenever you send money and the country is pretty big and they need to distribute that aid or that money they receive from other countries, for instance, and redistribute throughout their own country. Sometimes that's a challenge because yes, they can receive it at their central bank, but then redistributing to local banks is very difficult. So here, the advantage of using blockchain technology, and that's what CBDCs are based on, it makes it very easy to redistribute. So,
Okay.
yeah.
That makes sense. And, this is kind of, my own personal question here. Do you think CBDCs are going to kill or halt a stablecoin, for example?
It's still hard to know. I think there's space, for both. I think because obviously you always have people that don't necessarily trust their government, and they would rather own stable coins than CBDCs. We might see something where maybe CBDCs are more used for government to government and banks and government and federal banks working with other banks and using CBDCs, and maybe stablecoin is more for retail side of things, more for like personal money and things like that. Once again, today if you look at communication, you have Twitter, you have WhatsApp, you have Signal, you have multiple things, and actually I'm sure you do and I do, we have several of those on our phone. So sometimes I may call a friend on WhatsApp,
Yep.
I may call a coworker on Ring Central, so we don't necessarily always use, there's space for all those platforms. It's not like everyone is using WhatsApp and that's it. No, it's
Yeah.
there's space for other things as well.
Gotcha. And I'm going to switch gears here, Boris, to be honest with you, to stablecoin. Do you have anything that you want to add here to CBDC, or do you want me to jump right into stablecoin?
Well, just one last thing, and I mean, China is definitely ahead of everyone else on the CBDCs. The Europeans are definitely looking at it, but they're announcing something like maybe 2 years away. The US as well is saying roughly the same thing. Now, that's what the official speech is, but we don't know what's going on behind closed doors, so they might be much further ahead of this, and we might all be surprised with CBDCs coming out left and right next year. I think we're going to see a lot of those CBDCs coming out rather quickly because most governments have realized that crypto is taking off very, 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 very fast. And if they are too late to the party, they may come in when all the seats have been already distributed and there won't be, much left for them. So I think we're going to see a lot of evolution on that side of the CBDCs in the coming months and in the coming 1 to 2 years.
Okay, that makes sense. Yes, sir. And like I said, I'm going to kind of switch gears here, and I'll talk about stablecoin. And my first question here for you, Boris, is, what is a stablecoin?
So stablecoin, it's based on it's pegged to either the dollar or to the euro or one of the fiat currencies. So, for instance, the two famous one, USDT and USDC, Tether, being USDT, is pegged to the dollar. So they call it stablecoin because it doesn't, or it barely varies at all. If you look at the difference between 6 months ago and today, there's virtually no difference. The only difference is because of demand and supply varies all the time. You might see sometime USDT being worth $1.01, and sometimes you'll see the USDT worth $0.999. So it always varies very, very slightly up and down by just a fraction of a cent, but it's always staying around exactly 1 to 1, $1 for 1 USDT. So
Okay,
that's what a stable coin is.
that makes sense. And, another question that I have from doing some research is and you kind of hit on it earlier, but, is there a mechanism to buy stable coins using US dollar and not using an exchange at all?
Not really. I mean, you always have to use an exchange to buy USDC or buy USDT. You send your fiat money to that exchange, and in exchange they give you USDT or USDC. You make the choice. It's your choice. Tether is still much bigger, or quite a bit bigger than USDC, and a lot of exchange worldwide tend to use USDT for buying. So some exchange, for instance, like Gate.io is one of them. Some others operate in a similar fashion. They don't allow you to buy any coins, any cryptocurrencies using fiat money. They only allow you to buy crypto using USDT, Tether. So you need to have already USDT transferred to that exchange to be able to buy cryptos on those exchange. They don't want to deal, I guess, with government regulations and a lot of other things, and not having any fiat money helps them do that. That's the main reason why they do that.
And to kind of piggyback off that question, and it's kind of a two-part question here, is there any way to sell my stable coins and get back my fiat currency? And how much money would I get back if I were to sell my stable coins for fiat currency?
So all those exchange that's, where you can actually buy stable coins, you can sell the stable coins the exact same way, on the same exchange. They will, if you have a bunch of USDT or a bunch of USDC, you can sell them on that exchange. Now, you can do what's called a limit order. Because of the variation that's very small, from time to time, you might want to try to catch a very tiny profit of just a fraction of a penny. So if you put in, let's say, $10,000, maybe you'll get $10,010 back. Or sometimes if you do like a market order, you might get exactly one-to-one, or sometimes you may, exchange $10,000 and in USDT, and you'll get $9,999 back, something like that, but it's virtually going to be the same amount every time that you're going to get back.
Yes, sir. Okay, that makes sense. And, another question that I saw on the internet people want to know what happens to the stable coins once you, trade them or exchange them for fiat. And then the piggyback question to that is who is certifying, the amount of the stable coin reserve?
So that's a tricky question, and especially when the markets move really, really fast, because you can imagine that if suddenly a lot of people go on an exchange, and because it is a very green day or something, and they say, oh, I need a lot of USDT, I'm going to be buying a bunch of cryptos, and suddenly you have literally hundreds of millions, billions of dollars being poured into USDT. Tether cannot just turn around in 1 second or in 1 hour and go buy, $10 billion worth of dollars. So they have a few different mechanisms in place. Now, it's pegged to the dollar, but they don't necessarily hold everything in US dollars. They have bonds, they have different assets to back that money. So it is not just US dollars that they are buying. It's pegged to the US dollar, but they are using other things like bonds and things like that. Now, the government has been very involved. Tether got in trouble a few times already with the, I believe it's the New York Attorney's Office for not being very transparent on what they hold and what their holdings are to back up the USDT. They got in trouble. I think they cleaned up their act quite a bit, so there's a lot less problems today. They just got slapped with a pretty big fine from the CFTC, that regulates currencies.
Yes, sir.
And they got in trouble because once again, their reserves were not where they should have been, etc. So we're seeing more and more government agencies being very strict on stablecoin. We heard Gary Gensler, the chairman of the SEC, saying that he wants to regulate stablecoin. So I think governments are going to come left and right, and in a way, I want to say rightfully so. You know, I mean, I'm never pro regulations, but we cannot have some regulation, especially on something that's pegged to the US dollar, because we don't want it to turn into the Wild West where people would have billions and billions of dollars in a stable coin just to discover the following week that it's backed up by peanuts. You know, like they have, let's say, $100 billion, and really all they have in the bank is like $10 million, because that would be a run on the bank, exactly the same thing than a run on the bank. And people would try to pull out their money, but there would be no liquidity left for people to withdraw their money, and that would put everybody in a really, really bad situation. So I think we need some regulations. We're going to see more and more, also for the fact that the governments want to come out with a CBDC, and they see stablecoin a little bit as a competitor to their own plans. So they're going to make sure that at least the stablecoins are out there. I mean, they're real, and what's backing them up is real. USDC, which is the stablecoin from Coinbase, is a lot more transparent. Now, Coinbase is also a company that's traded on the stock market, so they are a lot more regulated than Tether. You know, so they're a lot more careful, and they've been very transparent on. You can find easily online, you know, different things on what do they hold. If you type USDC holdings, you will find the exact, you know, they'll show you a little a little pie chart, and they'll show you how much they have in cash, in bonds, in stocks, whatever other assets that they own. So they're very transparent.
Okay, that makes sense now. Now, from my side, Boris, that was all the questions that I had for both stablecoin and CBDC. Do you have anything else that you would like to add?
Yeah, I mean, just stable coins, they're going to be your friends in the bear market. You know, that's the crypto you probably want to have the most in the bear market. So right now might not be the best time to really hold a whole lot of stable coins. But as you sell some cryptos, like let's say you take some profit throughout the bull market, you probably want to put them in stable coins, so it's easy for you, first of all, to get some great returns, because like we did in a video recently, you can put it on a few different exchanges like Hugh Hodler or Celsius or whatever, and they will or Nexo, and you can get some great returns, like pretty much 9 to 12% interest, much higher than any bank would ever give you. And when the time comes and you're ready to buy back some of those cryptos that you sold during the bull market, that now let's say in the bear market, and they've come down some, and there could be some great entry points, you want to be ready to jump on those, and you're going to need those stable coins to buy them. So yeah, stable coins are great, you know, for that. And also some people may decide to park most of their money in stable coins because of those yield that you can get on those accounts.
Awesome. I mean, like I said earlier, Boris, from my side, that's all I have. So I appreciate it. This really helped me understand, you know, the difference between these two. So I really appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you, Colton. Thank you, everyone. And we'll see you on the next video of Crypto Night. Bye-bye. I hope this video helps. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.
If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. And if you like the video at the end, click on the thumbs up.